Welcome back, everybody. Corey Hughes, Bloody History. We are continuing with Thomas Beckham's grand jury testimony. One of the precursor steps leading up to the Clay Shaw trial in 1969, January of 69. Or was it 68? Offhand, I don't recall. It must have been 69, because 68, they were still doing this grand jury stuff, so the trial couldn't have started until January of 69. So let us continue. Remember, we're going over the testimony of Thomas Beckham, who was at the moment discussing his relationship with Fred Lee Chrisman, someone who we will definitely spend some time on. Let's see. So he's asking him about how long he knew him, and when did he know Mr. Chrisman? And he says, I didn't know him in 1963. How about 1964? I don't think I knew him then. Let me think now. Whenever I moved to whatchamacallit, I could check with the where I lived. Were you in business with him in 1965? No, but I contacted him. Were you in business with him in 1960? Well, yes, I was in business with him in 1965 and 1966. I was in business with him. 65 and 66. Right. During those 2 years, how much did you make in that business? Me personally? Yes. Oh, he would give me, on occasion. He gave me 50 one time. He would give me some money every now and then. Why did he give you money? I said, Fred, it costs money to live. And I shipped out in the meantime on the Sealand. You were partners? In the business, yes. What were you doing? We had an advertising agency. You handled public relations and advertising for people? Yes. Who were some of your clients? One was this, I think it was called Tacoma Employment Service. How much did the Tacoma Employment Service pay you? That was that check I was talking about. That's the $100, $125, $200, something like that. And who were some of your other retainers? I forget. Oh, yes, we sold some booklets and some books. How much did you make on that? $300 or $400. Then you made more than $100. The check was $125, something like that. But you told me earlier that you just made $100. That wasn't accurate. Is that right? The check was for $125 or $200. I'm really not sure. But that was the only really client we had. How much did you make in your business with Mr. Chrisman? I can't tell you. I don't know. Approximately how much did you make in your business with Mr. Chrisman? I don't know. Now I'm going to do you a favor right now and stop and let you take a lunch break to think something over. Now you listen to me very carefully. You are lying because I have caught you in a lie. Trying to tell me you're in business with a man when obviously you're not in business. You're making up an income as you go along. It's obviously no kind of income. Now let me tell you something. We are going to take a lunch break now, and when you come back, if you continue to lie, I don't care what your connection with the federal government is and what Mr. Chrisman has told you. I don't have no connection. If you don't lie and you don't have nothing to worry about, but when you come back, I want you to start telling the truth, and I don't want any more lying. Do you understand that? Mr. Garrison, why are you trying to make me out to be a CIA agent or something? I'm not. You are lying. Now, when you come back, I want no more lies. You are dismissed now. Come back in an hour. But no more lies, because the name of that is perjury. You can go outside. All right, so Garrison's getting heated. Love it. Garrison knows that Beckham is full of shit because he is obviously working with the CIA. He's surrounded by these CIA fucking guys, just like Thornley's surrounded by all these CIA guys, but he was in the middle of something. He didn't understand. He didn't know nothing. It was all happening all around him, right? Yeah, bullshit. Beckham was in fucking Dallas. I have a picture of Beckham clear as day in Dallas at the airport behind Kennedy's limo as Kennedy's leaving to get killed. Beckham was fucking there. Beckham was there. So, all right. He's sworn back in. Mr. Beckham, did you ever have occasion to make a long-distance call to Van Nuys, California? Yes, I did. How often did you call Van Nuys? I think one time or one or two times. Would one of those times have been in August of 1964? No, this was all in 1967. And what number was that? I don't know. Would it be a 213 area code, number 784-4772? I don't think so. I don't know. Who would you have called? I called Dr. Frank Strangus. It was either Van Nuys or Venice, California. The reason I say that is 22. Dr. Strange has lived in Venice or Van Nuys, one of the two. I called his house. Is he a doctor in what? He has a DD and a PhD. Where did he get his DD? I don't know. How did he get his PhD? I don't know. He was on the Art Linkletter show, and I saw him on another show. I sent him a letter telling him I was interested in his book called Stranges in the Pentagon. And he had a movie called Phenomena 7.7. So the church you're in right now is the Universal Life Church, right? What are you, a priest in the church? It's Universal Life is set up. They have no creed. They have a bishop, I guess is what he is. Is it hard to get to be a bishop? I don't know. What did you have to do to become a bishop? I was a minister in it first. How long did you have to be a minister before you became a bishop? It wasn't very long. I don't really know. You see, I was leaving Washington and I wrote a letter to Dr. Reverend Hensley and I told him I was leaving and I was thinking about states to go to. And I was thinking about picking Nebraska. And so I told him I was moving down there. And did they have bishops? Well, he wrote me a letter back, said that they had bishops in Kansas, but not in Nebraska. South Dakota, North Dakota, and Iowa was open. So I moved to Nebraska, and he sent me my deal as bishop. Actually, the 4-state area. That's what it is, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Iowa. You mean you're a bishop in 4 states? Right. Until they get someone else, then they will have bishops in that area. That's because you moved to Nebraska. No, I wrote him a letter and told him I was leaving Washington. And since he was a bishop there, how would I go about receiving bishop papers there? One of the things I believed in was their having no creed or doctrine. So he wrote me a letter back and told me that Kansas was already taken. And possibly if I was interested in South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa was open. So I picked between them 4 states and moved to Nebraska. It's lucky you wrote that letter because as a result you got to be a bishop. But they don't pay or nothing. What do you do? What do you mean? I established a church in Nebraska. What town? Omaha. What is the address of the church? 5314.5 North 48. How many people in the congregation? We have about 28 or 29. When are the services? On Sunday. Do you wear vestments? No. They pay you? No, we don't take up offerings. How do you earn your living? Entertaining and through the practice of psychology. In the practice of psychology, what sort of services do you provide? I have personally, and then something's redacted here, which is a set sort of thing, and we have a card that you rule it off by. It's a what? It's a personality test. They measure the person's ability in certain things. What is the measuring? It's a deal. You buy the whole thing from the psychological counseling service, but you buy it from San Bernadette or something like that in California. Who pays the money for that? The counseling. I do. No, who pays you? The person that comes. I also practice metaphysics. This fucking guy, I swear to God. Do many persons come? A few, not many. Metaphysics, I have more people for that. How many people come for metaphysics? Oh, I have 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 patients a week. You have the same office? No. What do you do for them when they come for metaphysics? It is a counseling in a way, spiritual in one sense, and in another sense, no, it's more or less, in other words, it's psychology. It is broken up in different fields, parapsychology or whatever field you want to go into, religious beliefs. A person who has strong religious beliefs tends to wave toward the metaphysical belief, divine power, and they have counseling groups that get together. Do people pay you money to talk to them about this? Oh, yes, they do, yes. How much do they pay you? Oh, not pay me. That is the wrong way to donations. What is a typical donation? $10, $5, $2. It's according to what it amounts to. Some people come there and don't give you a dime. What do you say when they don't give you a dime? Nothing. How much do you make a week from your metaphysics? Very little. How much do you make a week from your psychological services? Very little too. How much do you make a week from your church? Nothing. Where does your income come from? From entertaining. Okay, let me pause right here. Just I want to remind everybody. In the first day of this testimony that we were talking about, when he asked him if he was an entertainer or a musician still, he said, oh, that was a long time ago. But now he's, again, saying that he's getting his income from entertaining, right? This guy's just a fucking liar across the board. Oh, it varies. Sometimes it's $100. I can play the bass a lot. I just do shows. What is your average income a week? I would say $75 or $100. Does your entertaining interfere with your business partnership with Dr. Chrisman? I don't have no business relationship with him now. When did you end it? I think it really officially ended in Washington when we broke up. Did Dr. Chrisman advise you to move over into Iowa when you were subpoenaed? No. Did anybody advise you to move there? You see, when it all happened, it really wasn't a move. That's how the press turned it around. What they did was the newsmen all came running out to the house. What are you going to do? And all of this stuff. And I said, I don't know. They talked about a lady by the name of Sandra McCain? Or Sandra McMain. Yes, they talked about her moving to Iowa. And they said, are you going too? So I called an attorney by the name of John Sloman and asked him. And he said, if you move to Iowa, they can't subpoena you back. Is that why you moved there? Yes, sir. Why didn't you want to be subpoenaed back? Well, it wasn't the issue of being subpoenaed back. I didn't. See, when I found out about it all, it came as just a shock, and I did not know what was happening. It just said the district attorney. I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't know what to do. Did you call Dr. Chrisman, or did he call you? I didn't call Chrisman until about 2 days later, or something like that. 2 days? A couple, or 3 days. You called him long distance very often? Different times. Who pays for the long distance calls? I do. At night, it's only 75 cents. I set him records out there now, tape radio stations and stuff. Does any money come back to you for this? I am giving him the records to take to the radio stations. Why do you have this constant communications with him if you are not partners anymore? He's a friend of mine. It's not constant communications. Did you ever have occasion to call Chrisman in Washington, D.C.? He's in Washington State, not Washington, D.C. Have you ever had occasion to call him in Washington, D.C.? No. Have you ever heard of American Academy of Professional Arts? Yes, the American Academy of Professional Arts is a thing that I have. Is that one of your things too? You better believe it is. It's registered as a nonprofit thing in the state of Nebraska. You are listed as the registered agent? That's right. Well, it was Lincoln. It has now been moved to Omaha. What do you do in connection with that? Let me give you an idea. The reason the American Academy of Professional Arts was formed was an idea of setting apart certain beliefs, spiritual beliefs, relating to the major thopy, phonetically spelled, and stuff in this form to be able to teach it. What major thopy is parapsychology is, what metaphysics is, what spiritual meanings are, and to separate the two, and this was, I can't remember the section it filed under, but I can get it for you, filed with the Secretary of State. Have you ever been investigated by any business bureaus for your projects? I imagine I have. I don't know. All right, so let me pause one more time. So if you haven't fucking put this together yet, he's got like 8 organizations that he put together, organized, and fucking maintains that make no money or make him no money. Okay, so he sets up all these things in his fucking name, and he hands it off to someone in the CIA who uses it for fucking money laundering and all the various shit. That's what he's doing. Now, I'm assuming all this metaphysics stuff ties into all the weird shit they were doing in the 60s with the LSD and the fucking Grateful Dead and like all that weird shit that they were doing and with the spiritual stuff, right? This has to be tied into that somehow. Counterculture movements. Discordianism shit, right? Have you ever been investigated by any business bureaus for your projects? I imagine I have. I don't know. You don't know? They would have notified me if I have. I can't say. How would I know? Suppose I said the Better Business Bureau of Lincoln, Nebraska. No, they have not investigated me that I know of. They might have. Would this refresh your memory if I said that on January 20th of last year, the Better Business Bureau of Lincoln, Nebraska wrote a letter to Austin, Texas, New Orleans, Tacoma Bureau, and Houston Bureau, the Memphis Bureau, and the Olympia Bureau in Washington? Well, they wouldn't have had to go very far. When I got there, I sent the letters out to every one of them. About Dr., which they have in quotes, Thomas Beckham, regarding your claiming to be qualified in the practice of healing arts of drugless therapeutics and having had extensive training in the field of psychotherapy and hypnotherapy, psychopathy, and criminology. Now, does that refresh your memory? I wrote everything, including the chief of police. I know, but does it refresh your memory? They did not investigate me. I wrote them. But does it refresh your memory that they were interested in you? I wrote them. They didn't write me. How about the Better Business Bureau in Austin, Texas? I notified them too. Is that why they have an article in their publication, Who is Dr. Beckham? I didn't see it. So you know about the tickets being solicited in the name of the South Austin's Boys Club? No. It states that in the Better Business Bureau Bulletin that the business card of Dr. Beckham, in quotes, lists Dr. T.E. Beckham in charge and shows his occupation to be industrial psychology, criminology, public relations, and notary public. You know anything about that? They say what now? The business card of Dr. Beckham, director in charge, and shows his occupation to be in the following occupations: industrial psychology, criminology, public relations, and notary public. That's in Austin, Texas. That sounds about like it. Were you in all those things? Were you a notary public? No, I don't know now. Now, where was that? Austin, Texas. Were you ever in Austin, Texas? Yes, I was. I belonged to the Notary Public Association, the Austin Notary Public Association. How did you get to be a notary public? If I remember right, I filled out a form and paid a filing fee. How did you get involved in industrial psychology? Industrial psychology is the field of public relations. What about criminology? Criminology is a science. I just studied it. How long were you in Austin? I really don't know. Did you ever meet a gentleman by the name of Walter Jenkins? Not that I know of. Did you ever live in Houston? No. You never operated anything in Houston? No. Did you ever operate a detective agency anywhere? Yes, in Austin. That's what the T.E. Beckham Associates was. It was all together, yes. And you don't remember when you were there? A short while, I know. I went there to see about setting it up with, what's his name? Oh, I forget his name. How long were you in Tacoma? I was never in Tacoma. Lived in it at all. How long were you in Washington State? About 2 years. Where did you meet Dr. Chrisman? Through an ad. He had an ad on Parapsychology Deal, and I answered his ad, and it said, join the Parapsychology Association. Oh, it was $3 or something like that. Okay, so one thing I need to point out is that he's gone from like a series of questions trying to get into like his what he's doing and as far as his like professions, how he makes his fucking money. Then he jumps right into a series of rapid fire questions that he's already asked him a lot of this stuff, but he's trying to get him to give him a different answer so he can call him out for lying. Why he asks him about Walter Jenkins, I don't know. Walter Jenkins is a White House guy. We'll have to fucking dig into that. And so notice he's asking him, like he's doing a really good job of pressing him on standard interrogation techniques. Like he gets him so tied up on what was his profession, then he rapid fires him a bunch of unrelated questions, hoping he'll give a contradictory answer. Good job to Garrison. How long were you in Tacoma? I never lived there. How long were you in Washington State? About 2 years. Where'd you meet Dr. Chrisman? And then he says, where were you when you saw the ad? I read it in a book. I read different books in religious places. I read the articles and stuff when I saw it in there. What state were you in when you read the ad? State of Washington. Who was it who made you a bishop of the Universal Life Church? See, he's asking him questions that he already asked him, that he already knows the answers to. He's trying to get him to give a different answer because he knows he's fucking lying, and a liar doesn't remember the answers he gave. Not always. Who was it who made you bishop of the Universal Life Church? Reverend Hensley. Have you ever seen him face to face? No. Have you ever heard of the Apostolic Orthodox Catholic Church of North America? That's the one I belong to. That's the one you belong to in New Orleans. Is that correct? It says something about Orthodox and something about the Apostolic Orthodox Catholic Church of North America. Are you aware that David Ferry was a priest in this organization? No. Are you aware that David Ferry continually hung out at the office of Guy Bannister? No. Are you aware that David Ferry was a companion of Jack Martin? I knew the man. I came in contact with Ferry through Martin. How many times did you meet David Ferry? One time. Have you ever met Sergi Arcacha? Yes. How many times? I don't know. Not more than once or twice at most. Have you ever seen David Ferry with him? No. When you meet David Ferry that time, where did you meet him? Up at the office of G. Ray Gill. You never met David Ferry at Guy Bannister's? Nope. Have you ever heard of Archbishop Christopher Maria Stanley? I don't think so. No. Oh, Stanley? He was the head of the Apostolic Catholic Church of North America. Oh, Stanley James or Stanley Earl James. That's another person in Canada. Wait a minute. I think I got a letter from that person named Christopher. Sounds familiar. That's the last letter I received. This came from the same person. Came from a church in Kentucky. That Order of St. John or something. Did you ever see any other priests in that church? No. How did you happen to select that church? I didn't select it. I told Jack I discussed with him first about the whole thing, and I went out to the Baptist. First, I went out to the First Baptist Church. Reverend J.D. Gray was having a service, and I decided I wanted to enter the ministry, and I contacted the Baptist Theological Seminary. They said, you can go that way, and one thing led to another, and I told Jack about it, and Jack said to me, if you want to get into the church, don't get into one of these little fly-by-nights. The only church is the Catholic Church. And he told me, he said, I can get you ordained, kid. So I went to his house, and inside a great big deal, a wooden deal, he opened and pulled back a black thing. It was made of blue, green, or yellow something, and he held it up. I think he said it was a bishop, and he was a bishop in something. Did he ever tell you that David Ferry was a priest in the church? No. He never even talked to me about David Ferry. Were you aware of that? No. Now, your mission that you opened up on Rampart Street, you said it had no Cuban aspect at all. No, it never really got opened. God damn it, Tony texted me in the middle of my fucking show. No, he never talked to me about David Ferry. Were you aware of that? No. Now, your mission that you opened up on Rampart Street, you say it had no Cuban aspects at all. No. It never really got opened. But it was there, and you were getting it started, and it had no Cuban aspect of any kind. No, just a church. Have you ever been in Miami? No, never in my life. Have you ever seen any Cubans with Fredley Chrisman? No. Have you met Grassi with Chrisman? Yes. What's his first name? Julio J. Grassi. Where does he live? I don't know. He lives in Tacoma or Seattle. He owns a car company there known as Motor Guardian or something like that. Have you ever heard or been present when there were any discussions about Castro, about the assassination of Castro? No. Are you aware that Fred Chrisman has, on occasion, sent Cubans to Sergio Arcacha for briefing in this regard? No. You're not aware of that? No. Sergio Arcacha, he didn't even know the guy. He didn't even know about New Orleans. Have you ever met William Dalzell? I don't know. I don't know what he looks like. Have you ever told anyone you saw Lee Harvey Oswald? No, never saw the guy in my life. Have you ever met Richard Nagel? I don't know what he looks like either. Clay Shaw? No. Never met Clay Shaw? No. Have you ever met Gordon Novell? No. How did you have occasion to have a key to the post office box in Lafayette Square Station? I rented it. I don't even know if I had a key. I think you dial it or something. What year was that? I don't know, but I know I had one. How long did you have one? I don't really know. I think I paid him quarterly. It was cheaper, something like that. I know I had it at least 3 months. Have you ever met Jules Kimball, a Central Intelligence employee named Jules Kimball? I don't know what he looks like. You've never met Kerry Thornley? Never saw him, don't know him, but maybe if I saw his picture. The only one I ever met here, I went down and asked around the French Quarter and how I can get a hold of a guy by the name of Gene Davis. And I went in and I asked this man, and I said, I am Thomas Beckham, and I understand that Mr. Garrison subpoenaed you. And he said, yes. And I said, I want to ask you, what is the, do you know me? Have you ever seen me before? And he said, no. And I said, why did he subpoena me? I don't know. Nothing. He said, I don't know. I said, why should the man subpoena me? So you were just mystified. Yes, I didn't know why you did it. Why was it earlier today than when I asked you if you ever discussed the CIA with Guy Bannister and you took the Fifth Amendment? I don't know exactly how you said it. I thought you said, did I know for a fact he was or wasn't? I knew he was an FBI agent. What caused you to take the Fifth Amendment? I did not know. What did you think I said? I think you said that I know he was a CIA agent. Well then, let me rephrase it that way. Did you know that Guy Bannister was a CIA agent? Not that I know, no. Then why didn't you say that this morning? As I said, I didn't know. You said either yes or no. This morning you said you took the Fifth Amendment because you thought it might incriminate you. I took it because I wanted to wait and ask the judge. That's right. You indicated you thought I was just afraid that you would charge me with something if I said I don't know, and I don't know. I really don't. What made you think we would charge you if you said that you didn't know? Because I don't know why I'm here. But what does that have to do with your taking the Fifth? Because I don't know. This is who's on first, okay? These cocksuckers, I swear to God, are experts at Abbott and Costello. This is what the fucking CIA teaches these fucks with your tax dollars. Why don't you just say, I don't know? Before, when I said I don't know, you said give you a yes or no. You can explain any yes or no answer in here that you want. We don't limit you to a yes or no. We are just trying to see which direction you are heading in. Some of your trips are pretty, but why did you take the Fifth Amendment? I just told you, Mr. Garrison. I thought you asked me if he was a CIA agent. All right, I will ask you now. Is he or was he a CIA agent? I don't know. But you don't have to take the Fifth Amendment now. No. What has changed? I asked the judge. I said, if I say I don't know, can he make me say yes or no? And he said no. You can't say you don't know. You can ask him because I really don't know. I don't know. I don't want to lie about it. Did you ever meet Lieutenant Colonel Lowry? I was out at the base of the Officers Club. We booked shows in there and stuff to a friend of mine. Said I was talking about taking a road show out, and you have to get together a band and rehearse a couple of weeks and get everything right and ready to roll out on the road. You put out posters, you sign up the place and everything. So in doing so, I figured I had about $300, and I figured with $500 more, I would have it, and it would take about $800 to do it. So I put an ad in a little paper called the Bellevue Guide asking for someone who'd be interested in going into a road show, and I got a call from Mrs. Lowry. She said she would like to find out what it is all about, and she said, where do you live? And I told her, and she said I would like to stop over, and me and my husband have saved up some money or something. And she said that he is looking for something to do, a business or something. And that is how I came in contact with Colonel Lowry. You mean you met Colonel Lowry through an ad too? Yes, through an ad. Are you aware that he has a pretty high position in the Strategic Air Force Command? He's a lieutenant colonel. Yes, he was in the planning division there. So let me pause again. Just to note, all the stuff that he's talking about now, he talked about previously in the morning, right? All in the first episode we did about this stuff. Why? Because he's trying to get him to say something different. Because liars never remember their lies. Are you aware he has a pretty high position in the Strategic Air Force Command? He's a lieutenant colonel. Yes, he was in the planning division there. He was in a deal flying an airplane. They called it the Looking Glass. He made it no secret. He told everybody. I'm talking about how you met him. You met him through a newspaper ad. Yes, a newspaper ad. You can ask him if you want to. You're in business with him too, aren't you? I was. What was the name of your business? Well then, anyway, we were going into the And then me and him went down, and I said, I have something else to do. And I go to garage sales myself and get stuff. And then I hold a sale and sell a bunch of stuff. And so I told him I was going to think about opening up a thrift shop. So I asked him what did he think about it? And would he like to go in with me? And he said, yes, I will go in with you. I got all these old books and stuff. Like, you can sell real cheap. And me and him went into business and called it the B&L Enterprises, a thrift shop at 1727 Leavenworth. We opened a thrift shop. Did it used to be one of your churches, that building? Well, see, after we left the thrift shop and let it go, he thought he would be going to Vietnam, and we sold it. We were selling stuff left and right. How much would you say you made in the thrift shop? I don't know, I guess $700 to $800. All right, so my fucking brain is melting out of my fucking ears here, okay? Jesus Christ. Just fucking... besides being a fucking a preacher and a fucking entertainer and a psychologist and a fucking notary, the guy owned a thrift shop, okay? How many fucking things is this guy gonna say he did in this, 6-7 year fucking period? It's unfucking believable, and then it just makes me crazy, because what the fuck is the CIA doing with this asshole? What's going on here? What the fuck is going on here? And he meets this guy super high up in fucking the Strategic Air Force Command, which definitely has connections to intelligence, and he meets him through a fucking newspaper ad about going on the road and playing in a band or something, but then they end up opening a thrift store? Are you fucking kidding? I'm being punked here. This is not... No. No. I don't buy this for a fucking second. What is going on here? I don't have a goddamn fucking clue, but he went into business with a guy high up in fucking Army intelligence or Air Force Command, and they opened a thrift store. This is fucking unbelievable. What was the name of your business? Well, then anyway, we were going into the, and then me and him went down, and I said I have something else to do, and I go to garage sales myself and get stuff, and then I hold a sale and sell a bunch of stuff, and so I told him I was going to think about opening a thrift shop. So I asked him what Did he think about it? And would he like to go in with me? And he said, yes, I will go in with you. I got all these old books and stuff, like, you can sell real cheap. And me and him went into business and called it the B&L Enterprises, a thrift shop at 1727 Leavenworth. We opened a thrift shop. Did it used to be one of your churches, that building? Well, see, after we left the thrift shop and let it go, he thought he would be going to Vietnam, and we sold it. We were selling stuff left and right. How much would you say you made in the thrift shop? I don't know, I guess $700 to $800. How long of a period of time was that? We were only in business about 3 months. Have you been in any other businesses with him? No, I was leaving and I gave him his part of the money, and he thought he was going to Vietnam, and his son came from California and he was going to help him move down. Does he know Fred Lee Chrisman? No, I don't think he does. He met Dr. Stranges, though. About Lauren Hall, did he know him? I don't know. Does he know Gene Bradley? I don't know. I don't know who all he knows, but I don't think he knows Dr. Chrisman because I never introduced Dr. Chrisman. But you met Dr. Chrisman and Colonel Lowry through advertisements. Right. Have you ever met a man named David Lewis? Oh, yes. Where did you meet him? I don't recall. I think I met him through, Martin, was it? Yes, through Martin. Where did you meet him? I don't know where the heck it really was. I know he was a member of some kind of association, some kind of in Canada, which was a private detective association, and Jack Martin got me a membership in it too. So he's, remember, fucking this dickhead, Beckham is a private detective also, and he's got a private detective association. Who introduced you to him? Colonel, this guy's name in the detective deal he run was Colonel Huxley, or something in Canada. Who introduced you to him? Martin. Who introduced you to Martin? I met Martin down, see all the places they hung out, like Roswell used to campaign on the corner there at Walgreens. They would all go to eat at Walgreens, Morrison's, or Thompson's cafeteria, and they would all sit around there at Thompson's. Did you ever meet Clyde Johnson? I don't know what he looks like. Where did you meet David Lewis? I met him through Martin. I know that. What places can you remember seeing David Lewis? I saw him just a few days ago, right here in town at Walgreens. Where else have you ever seen him? I don't know if I ever saw him in Mr. Bannister's office or not. I really don't. You can't recall? I'm not sure. I might have. Have you ever been to the Mancuso Cafe near the Newman Building? Guy Bannister had his office in the Newman Building. That's what they had. That's what they called the big building down there. That's the little building on the corner. Right in front of the post office? Yes, across the street. I have seen him in there. That's a bar at the corner called the Mancuso Cafe. Had some kind of deal around the side upstairs, some kind of hall or something. Have you ever been upstairs there in that hall? Yes. Yes, Jack was going to rent that to promote a dance. Okay, these fucking guys. Now Jack Martin's involved in some kind of promoting a dance. Okay, what is wrong with these fucking people? This is literally driving me fucking crazy. Yes, Jack was going to rent that to promote a dance. He went up there to see that guy. It was some kind of labor hall. I even remember how it looked. There were some offices up there, too. I did not know that. I thought it was just a big hall. Did you ever hear of Sergio Arcacha's Cuban organization? I knew he had something. I didn't know what they called it. Did you know he ran that with David Ferry? No. They ran it together? No. Who introduced you to Sergio Arcacha? I'm pretty sure I met him through Martin. Martin or this other guy. The young one I met first. I know I met him through Martin. Then I think I met the older one through the young guy. Did you ever talk to David Lewis about getting him involved in some unusual enterprises? No, the only time I ever talked to Lewis was a long time ago. The last time I was here and we got that continuance, I was up in Walgreens on Canal, and I got up and walked to the phone and made a call and walked around. About that time, someone said, "Hello there, Tommy." That's what he said. Have you ever talked to David Lewis about him going to work in an unusual way? What do you mean in an unusual way? Have you ever talked to David Lewis about him doing any kind of work? I had no reason to talk to him about work. The answer is no. No. What kind of work did you do when you went over to Guy Bannister's? We're back to this again. We're back to this again because you haven't answered it. If him giving me money every now and then for running errands was working, I worked for the man. If not, I didn't work for the man. Why don't you just tell us whether you worked for him or not? You can describe whether you worked for him or not. I don't think I ever worked for him, no. I think I was doing him favors, but I don't think I ever worked for Guy Bannister. How do you not know if you fucking worked for a guy or not? Unreal. Mr. Burns then asks him, where did you first meet Guy Bannister? I really don't know. You must have some idea how long ago it was. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Oh, yes, it was a long time ago. Less than 10 years? Oh, yes, much less than 10 years. I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. I really don't know. How old were you when you first met him? I was 17 or 19, somewhere in there. How many years since you were 17 or 19 years old? I'm now 25, so how many years ago were you between 17 and 19? About 6 years ago. So you first met Guy Bannister 5 or 6 years ago, is that right? Well, it could have been longer. How much longer? I don't know. Were you in school when you first met Guy Bannister? No. When did you quit school? When I was 15 years old. Okay, so on top of being a fucking industrial psychologist and all this shit, he dropped out of high school at the age of 15. Okay? In the 7th grade. The guy dropped out of school in the 7th grade at the age of 15, but yet he's got fucking certificates as he's a priest and a psychologist and a fucking a bricklayer and a fucking doctor and a fucking astronaut. Give me a fucking break. Approximately how long had you been out of school when you met Guy Bannister? I don't know, because I went to work for a radio station. I don't know. I would have to sit down, and I worked for WTPS. You quit school when you were in the 7th grade and you were 15 years old, is that right? Let's see, was it Bannister? It was 62. I got that ordination thing, so it was somewhere between, I guess, 60 and 62 or 63, somewhere in that area. It's easy to say it was 3 or 4 years ago. No, it was more than that, longer than that. How much longer than that? 4 or 5 years. Where were you living at the time? I think Dad and Mom lived on Fern Street. I think it was 817 Fern Street, if I'm not mistaken. What were the circumstances of your meeting Guy Bannister? The first time I met him was through Martin somewhere in the French Quarter. Now, you have told me where, but you've not told me the circumstances. You have not answered my question. I walked to Guy's office with Jack Martin, I said. Then you didn't just meet him in the French Quarter somewhere. I walked in with Martin in his offices. I didn't know the man or nothing. I just walked in. Martin had some business there. I stayed a few minutes. When I was there, I remember this exactly. An FBI agent or something came in and told a girl sitting there, said, I am so-and-so of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A few minutes later, Martin came out. We left. That was it. This was the first time. Now, how did it happen that you were with Jack Martin on this particular day? I couldn't tell you because I don't know. Everywhere he went, I went. That's all I can tell you about that because I don't know. How many times did you have occasion to come back to Guy Bannister's with Jack Martin? With him, I guess I came back to his place 15 times, maybe. What did Martin talk about with Guy Bannister? Very few times I would go in and sit there. I don't know. I don't remember what they talked about. Most of the time I had to stay out in the other part. Look, kid, grab a seat or do something. I got some business. You said most of the time you sat outside. You're again trying to not answer my question. I don't know what they talked about because I don't remember it. It wasn't important what they talked about. You don't remember what they talked about at all at any time? No, it wasn't important. I didn't pay attention to it. It wasn't important to me. It wasn't important, yet Jack Martin was the man you idolized. You followed around and went walking with him. You go everywhere he goes. You get every piece of credential he has, every piece of paper he has, joins every club he has. It's not important for you what you were sitting in that man's office for? Good fucking question, Jim Garrison. I honestly don't know. You can give me a lie detector test to tell you I don't know. You don't know anything they discussed at the times when you were there. I remember at the time, but I don't remember it now. I am sure I heard what they said, but I don't remember it now. Where else did you go with Jack Martin? To his house. Where else? To this Archie-Parchie Mason shows. Where else? To the police station. Who else did you go visit with Jack Martin? Ferry. And who else? This guy of this Cuban thing, I met him in the Père Marquette. I'm sure it was the Père Marquette. Are you talking about Louis Rebel, the man with the laundry business? I think that's the same one. And who else did you go to visit? I went up in that bar with him 1 or 2 times. Did you go to visit anybody? I'm not asking where you went, but did you go to visit with him? Inaudible. Now, when you went to visit David Ferry with Jack Martin, did you recall any incident like that? What was discussed at that time? Just went up there upstairs and he said, grab a seat, and I would sit down. This guy come out and he said, who's this? And if I'm not mistaken, it was an off day. When I say off day, I mean it was either on a Saturday or a Sunday, you know. The juror then asks, was this on Louisiana Avenue Parkway where you met him? No, this was up in Mr. Gill's office, that being G. Ray Gill. When did you tell us you went to visit him on Louisiana Avenue Parkway upstairs? Visit who? David Ferry. I didn't go visit David Ferry. You just said so a while ago. Yes, but to his office. His office was up there. His office was right up there with G. Ray Gill, the attorney. He just said to have a seat. I had a seat. A few minutes later, Jack had a file in his hand, and when he came out, he didn't have the file, so I imagine he left the file. And what's his name said, this kid's a singer. That was it. Mr. Burns then asked, so you really always sat outside when Jack Martin talked to Guy Bannister, is that right? Jack Martin was a funny guy. I did not ask you if Jack Martin was a funny guy. I asked you, yes, I sat outside most of the time. You remember being asked this morning what happened when you went over to Guy Bannister's house, or Guy Bannister's office. Right. You remember talking about just passing time away. That's right. To me, I never really worked for Jack. That's not the question I asked you. I asked you, did you remember this morning saying it was just to pass the time of day to go over to Jack Martin's? You weren't really just passing the time of day with Guy Bannister. You were just sitting outside, weren't you? What do you mean, just passing the time? I don't remember. It wasn't important. When did you begin to work for Mr. Guy Bannister? I wasn't officially working for Bannister, I told you. Wasn't he paying you for something? He would give me money every now and then. He would say, go get coffee, go get Cokes. And he would say, run over to that post office and get me some stamps, things like that. Or he would say, run downtown and get me some brown long envelopes and stuff. In other words, an errand boy. Yes, an errand boy. And then one day he said to me, as a personal friend, he never said it like he wanted to investigate. He said, Tom, I don't understand it. How long you known Jack? Did you ever do anything for Mr. Bannister besides being his errand boy? Yes, he asked me about Martin. Besides those two things, I made some phone calls for him. He gave me a list of numbers. He was trying to solicit business or something. Another deal was trying to solicit business. What kind of business? Detective business? No, we had yes, that is what it amounted to. Why would you say no when you say yes? Because I was not working for this guy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In other words, an honorary criminal sheriff don't work. I have to ask you about 5 questions as to what you did for Mr. Bannister. I did not work for Mr. Bannister. God, this is like fucking Groundhog Day. Now we will take them one at a time. What else did you do for Mr. Bannister besides being an errand boy? I was not officially an errand boy for Mr. Bannister. I did it as a favor. If you want to say I was an errand boy, I was an errand boy. Now, what else besides an errand boy? You gave information one time about Jack Martin. I helped him 1 or 2 times. He sent me out. He said, kid, would you do me a favor? And I said, yes, I did everything. He would say, would you mind doing me a favor? I sure would appreciate it, but if you have something else that's important. I didn't ask you how he asked you. I asked you what you did for him, not how he asked you. What else did you do for him besides errand boy and telling him about Jack Martin? 1 or 2 times at the most, I went to a place out on Ursuline to get some information on something he called a domestic case. I don't know what it was, but I remember going out there. A juror then asks, I believe you said that you did certain other things and domestic things. What were the certain other things? Well, one time he had a deal. He said, make some phone calls for me. One time he had me sit there and lick envelopes for the man and put things in the envelopes for him. Mr. Burns then says, this morning we reached an impasse when we asked you what you were doing for Mr. Bannister. Now I asked you, did you do anything besides an errand boy? And that 1 and 2 gave him information about Mr. Martin on occasion. Now you say on occasion you got him all his domestic information. Is that all? That is all. What kind of information on domestic cases? He said go out somewhere on Ursuline, I'm sure. And he said it was a child custody case, and he was mad about it. And he said, would you go out and check with his neighbors about this party? And I said, I will do it for you. I went out there and I asked the people. I said, do you know Mr. So-and-so? I can't even remember the guy's name. Do you know what time he comes home? Do you know where he is? And all these silly questions. What was the other one? A lady had called, something to do with Maison Blanche. Oh, yes, a guy got a call. Her husband got a call or something, and a guy wanted to know where she was going. Well, she left Maison Blanche, and she went down a side street to the right and to the left, and I waited, and she picked up some stuff and left and came back and went up, and the man called and said his wife would be leaving at a certain time. I got up there, and I was waiting. That is all you did for Guy Bannister? That is all. In other words, you only obtained information for him on 2 occasions. Is that correct? That is all. Then why did you say this morning that you worked for him as an investigator? You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I said that a newspaper reporter asked me in Omaha, have you ever worked for Mr. Bannister? I said I worked for him as a friend helping him out, and the newspaper man said, oh, on a piecemeal basis, or a piecemeal offer or something like that. No, I'm talking about else. This morning, Mr. Garrison asked you if you worked for Mr. Bannister, and you said, yes, I worked for him. I obtained information for him. Then you changed it and said you were on a peace offering rather than a salary. In other words, you are not his regular investigator. No, I don't consider that I worked for him. I didn't work for him directly or indirectly, but if you said what I did constitutes working for the man, then I did, but I don't think I ever worked for the man. Tell me and the jury what information in relation to these two pieces of information these pieces of information, this investigation, the two domestic cases, causes you to be concerned about the question of CIA activity in Guy Bannister. Because this guy is not living now. Tell me what the CIA contact is with this domestic case. None. What is the CIA contact with the Maison Blanche case? None. I did not say it was. Then why did you say when you were asked a different question about the CIA? Because I did not understand the question. Let's take the question as it is and not the way you understand it. I will take a lie detector test. I've never worked for the CIA. I don't know anything about this case. I will submit to any lie detector test you want. Forget about the lie detector test. Just answer the question. Mr. Burns then says, the question is, you said you understood Mr. Garrison's question to be, do you know whether Mr. Bannister had CIA connections? I don't know. You answered, I refuse to answer on the grounds that it will be incriminating to me, Mr. Beckham. I stood on the Fifth Amendment. Well, what does that mean? I know you don't have to answer it. You aren't talking about double jeopardy part of the Fifth Amendment, are you? You're talking about the incrimination part, aren't you? I don't know what part I am talking about. What does the Fifth Amendment mean to you? As far as I know, it only means one thing. It means you can't incriminate yourself, right? It means you don't have to answer on grounds that it might incriminate you. How do you think this could incriminate you? I don't know. How do you think asking about the CIA in any form or fashion could incriminate you? I don't know. How are you thinking it could incriminate you? You had to think something when you interposed the fifth. When Mr. Garrison jumped down my throat, I wanted to have time to talk to a judge or lawyer because I don't know the law. You've talked to lawyers before coming here, haven't you? Yes. You've talked to several lawyers, haven't you? Yes. How many? 2. Is that all? 3. 2 in New Orleans and others out of state, right? Which advised me not to come here. Yes. This morning after you appeared in court, did you stop by and say something to a reporter? No, I just went into court. Did you stop and say something to Jack Dempsey? No, he just came and sat down beside me. Did you say anything to him? He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to file a petition. We did, and then the judge called me in. Did you tell Mr. Dempsey to stick around, or words to this effect, after this is over, I'm going to have a statement that is going to knock the district attorney out of office? I turned around to him when he said, now you answer my question. You either said that or you did not. I don't remember. Did you say something similar to it, similar to the question? Why don't you tell the jury what the information is that's going to knock the district attorney Garrison out of office? Because he's going to be mad at me when I tell it. I'm going to ask you to tell this jury what the information is that is going to knock District Attorney Garrison out of office. I could get it to you in about an hour. Why don't you tell me about it now? Let me tell you about it. I knew nothing about this thing, as I told you in the beginning. Well, the other night when I was nosing around and trying to find out why I did get drug into something and everything, and I called Mr. Martin from Omaha to ask him what happened, and Jack said, I know nothing about it. Looks like someone framed you, kid. That is exactly what he told me. I said, what do you mean, Jack? I don't know nothing. So Jack said, well, come back. The publicity will do you good. It will sell a lot of records. That's what he said. All right. The other night I was approached by a guy. I have his name. I will present you with the affidavit, and you can do anything you want with it. Well, give us his name now. What's his name? You will see the affidavit. What is his name? We want answers as we go. David Richards. No, Richard David. I have the affidavit at the house. What is that supposed to be? This man claims. Just a minute. You answer Mr. Garrison's question. Who is David Richards supposed to be? He's a man who lives in the French Quarter. The juror then asks, do you know him? No. He approached you. That's right. How did he get in contact with you? He approached me right in the tie shop in the French Quarter. What shop? On Royal Street, right after I left the place where this man, what's his name? David? Yes. Garrison asks, who is he supposed to be? What is this all about? He claims now this will make you mad. Go right ahead. Now don't hold it against me. I've never heard of the man. Go right ahead. What is this all about? Mr. Burns then says, not only does he want to hear, you have got to answer. Now what did he say? Beckham then says, this man claims he walked up to me and told me he had some information. He told me this information and I couldn't believe it. He says, boy, you got a lot of problems. I think you're in a frame. And I said, what do you mean? I want to know all about it. Well, he presented me with an affidavit. Gosh. Why don't you tell me about it? I'd like to know. He said that you were supposed to be, that you had some intimate affairs with a gay guy down in the French Quarter, 2 of them. Well, that's fine. Since it never happened, it couldn't bother me less. And he claims that he knew this guy Shaw, and he also claims that he knew this Shaw as being this other man. As being which other man? As being this guy Bertrand. It's all wrote about in this affidavit he gave me. Why didn't you bring it with you? I was hiding it because I figured if he double-crossed me, if he got something phony on me, I was going to bring it out. Let's see. My dad's got it. I gave it to him. Where is he now? Mr. Scambria then asks, he told you he knew Clay Shaw as Clay Bertrand? Yes. Did he know this of his personal knowledge? He gave me the whole affair, or he gave me the whole affidavit. You have to read it and find out. And he claims that you were intimate in affairs with these men. A man walked up in a tie shop and suddenly announced something like this? The man lives in the quarter. A juror then asked, how did he know you were in the tie shop or would be in the tie shop? He was in there, and this lady he was talking to told him, she owns the tie shop, and she told him, that guy is, right around Royal. He came around Royal and said, I would like to talk to you. I couldn't believe it. He handed you the affidavit? No, he said, you have the affidavit now? Yes. You said it was notarized? Yes, it was notarized. Who notarized it? It was notarized by the lady in the National Bank of Commerce building. I have the affidavit. On your person, or? My dad has it, but I can get it down here. If you call your father, can we send out and get it now? Yes, my dad will give it to you, but don't let it get lost. Would he bring it to us? Yes, he would. Do you know how to locate this David Richards? He's probably talking about Richard Davis. He lives in the French Quarter. The lady knows him. He's going around now carrying deals, calling himself Marcello. He claims he's the son of Marcello, but his real name is Richards. He took me up to his attorney. Who is his attorney? Oh, I don't know what street it's on, but his attorney told him, said, if this is brought before the grand jury, what it will involve. And he says, yes. And you don't remember the name of the attorney. I didn't pay that much attention. I've got the affidavit. I'll show you. I'll show it to you later, I'll swear. You can get a pencil and paper and write it down, can't you? You can get the affidavit. It's notarized and all. And I said to the lady, why don't you seal it? And she said, we don't have to seal it in the state of Louisiana. She said, as long as I notarize it. Can you call your father? I'll call him. We would like to see it today. Now, I don't know nothing about it until he gave it to me. Here's a phone. Call your father. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to take a break for today. Actually, this is about to wrap up right here. So, and then he says, does he have a car? Or can he send it in a taxi cab? He doesn't have a car, and we can send somebody for it. Okay, and so then we have a break in this line of questioning. So we're going to wrap it up here and pick it up tomorrow. We're on page 115 if you're following along at home. And once again, if you haven't bought the book, please buy the book. It'll help congeal all these concepts that I'm going to be throwing at you. And so that's going to do it for today. I will be back with another show tomorrow. This will be part 3, and tomorrow will be part 4, and we will wrap this up on part 5. Then we will jump from this to Beckham's HSCA testimony, which is completely different from what he's saying here, to give a great comparison. So that's it, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you can sit through this stuff, man, I give you props because it's dry as fuck. Even for me. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again.